How many jobs do you apply to per day or per week, per month? You have your certifications, you've done your training, you've done everything that you should, but you're not getting jobs and you're applying. So I'm going to be sharing with you Harvard standard resume for cybersecurity if you want to be called for an interview. I met John a few days ago. It was a church program. I went there because I was invited. And after the service, John came to me right after the service that he said he's been applying for jobs for about 6 months and he hasn't gotten one interview. And I said, okay, do you have your certifications? He said, yes. You have your certifications, you've done your training, you've done everything that you should, but you're not getting jobs and you're applying. And I asked, how many jobs do you apply to per day or per week, per month? And John says that I apply for about 50 jobs a month. I'm like, 50? So in 6 months, you've applied for more than 350 jobs and no interview? He said, yes. Okay. I said, send me your resume. I'll take a look at it and I will give you my perspective. So here is my perspective that I'm giving to John. I've given him to him and I've reviewed, told him what to do. And you know that after I reviewed John's resume and worked on it, 2 weeks, John got 3 interviews in 2 weeks. So I'm going to be sharing with you Harvard standard resume for cybersecurity. These are things that you should have on your resume, or that your resume must contain, or that your resume should represent if you want to be called for an interview. Harvard standard perspective involves considering the qualities that top tier institutions and organizations like those associated with Harvard typically look for. I don't want you to take this for granted. This is something that some people do not know, and we're going to be breaking it down. Number one thing, what are these things that your resume must have for you to be considered having a Harvard standard resume for cybersecurity? Number one is clarity and conciseness. Harvard standard resumes are expected to be clear and concise. Effectively, you have to communicate your experience and skills without unnecessary verbosity. John's resume is structured in a very clear format with distinct sections and bullet points that make it very easy to read and understand. This aligns well with the expectation of a top tier standard, allowing for a quick identification of his qualifications and accomplishments. And this is right after I worked on his resume. Let me tell you something, guys. You see, an average recruiter has about 7 seconds to look at your resume. If your resume is not concise and is not clear, you've lost that job even before they start. They're not going to call you for interview at all. So we can even turn this on the head and say 5 ways to not get an interview. Don't make it clear and don't make it concise. If you don't make it clear and you don't make it concise, you won't get an interview. They won't call you because they do not have the time to be going through tons of resume and spending time on your resume because you didn't make it clear, you didn't make it concise. Number 2, specificity. See, that's a very big English. Specific. Okay, resume that meets a Harvard standard are expected to be specific in terms of the role undertaken and the achievement that you have gained. Okay, John's resume includes specific job titles, locations, and dates which aligns with this expectation. Additionally, John's achievements are quantified. See, this is where a lot of people make mistake. Not quantifying your achievement. Do you want the recruiter to be doing the quantification or to quantify it for you? They don't have the time. If you want to be worthy of someone that they can speak to, you need to quantify your achievement. For instance, reducing non-compliance incident by 40%. See, that's quantifying it. Before I worked on his resume, John would have said, I reduced non-compliance incident. It's the same thing, but I added by 40%. So the 7 seconds that the recruiter has to go through your resume, there's something that they're looking at. They're looking at the numbers. They're looking at how specific you are, and that catches their attention. Also, enhancing compliance by 30%, reducing non-compliance incident by 40%, or enhancing compliance by 30%. You can also say enhance compliance, right, without adding the percentage, right? Or let's say I train 50 employees every quarter and this adds about 90% compliance and security adherence in the entire organization. I told them what I did. I told them the result. I also quantified it. This adds to the specificity and provide clear evidence of John's impact in his previous role. That is what they're looking for. On the inverse, if you don't want them to call you for an interview, don't be specific. But if you want them to call you, you have to be. Specificity is important. Number 3, evidence of achievement and competencies. Now, some of us were very humble. We don't add the achievement and the competencies that we have gained over the years. We don't add it in our resume. Top tier resumes, I'm talking about Harvard Standard for Cybersecurity, should not just list job responsibilities, but also you have to highlight achievement and how they were accomplished. John's resume effectively demonstrates his achievement within our roles using metric and specific outcomes. For example, leading to a 50% quicker response time to security incident. See, that is an achievement. She didn't just say, I rejig our incident response team. She didn't just say, this is what I did. She said, this is what I did, and this is the response, or this is the achievement from what I did. I'm telling you, if you want your resume to be seen, you have no choice but to do this. Okay, see, this method is in line with Harvard Standard, as it shows not only what he was responsible for, but also the result of our effort and the value that he added to his past employers. That is what they're looking for. They're looking for people that will add value. And if you're saying that this is what I've done, they want to understand, okay, we've seen that you did this. What value did that add to the organization? So without adding the accomplishment and the achievement and how they were done, how you achieve them, what you just listed, they're just job responsibilities, which anybody could be trained to do that, but you have to go above and beyond that. Now, number 4, professional presentation and formatting. I've seen a lot of resume in my life. You see, especially since in the last 3-4 years that I've started interviewing people for my jobs, I've seen a lot of resume. And I can tell you, once I see a resume with just 1 or 2 glance, I know that no, this is not it. You see, a cybersecurity resume of Harvard caliber should also exhibit professional presentation and formatting. Okay, it is not just presentation and formatting, it has to be done professionally. This includes like the use of a clean and professional layout. The layout has to be clean, it has to be professional, and then the font has to be appropriate. Okay, you can take a look at the example of the resume right in front of you right now. Take a look at the example. Very clean, the layout clean, the font appropriate. Don't use unnecessary font that you think is beautiful. Nobody needs a beautiful resume. Everyone wants a professional resume. Nobody wants a beautiful resume. Your resume doesn't have to be pretty, your resume doesn't have to be beautiful, but your resume must be professionally done. Okay, also in this same regard, the absence of grammatical or spelling errors. If you've not been using this very popular tool, Grammarly, I would encourage you to do that. Grammarly is very, very important. When you're writing your resume, you should never, nobody should ever find a grammatical error or spelling error in your resume. If that is there, you've lost it already. They're not even going to call you. Like, if it's specific, it's clear, it's concise, you have your achievement, and it catches the attention of the recruiter, and the recruiter now goes beyond the 7-second rule, and they're taking time to read. Once they spot those errors and spelling errors and grammatical errors, forget it, they'll drop it. Hey guys, you go back to the YouTube in a minute. We have a free webinar where we'll walk you through on how to bag multiple cybersecurity jobs in 90 days, even without IT degree, IT experience, or qualification, or even certifications at all. Click the link below to join my free webinar. I will see you on the inside. Now, back to the video. If you can't be detailed enough on a resume that will speak about you to someone that doesn't know you, then they do not expect you to give them that value, especially to the team that you'll be working with. John's resume will need to meet this formatting standard to be considered of Harvard quality. Now, while the content is structured well, the actual formatting, such as the consistency in font size, the style, and the overall aesthetic, right, will need to be reviewed to ensure that it meets the highest professional standard. Again, highest professional standard, and that is what I'm about. I'm about excellence, I'm about integrity, I'm about standard. So your resume must meet the highest professional standard. Some people see when you write your resume, it's always good for you to, at a point in time, go back again, review what you've written. When you write your resume, don't just leave it there. Review it to understand that, does this meet a professional standard? And finally, the number 5th key is tailoring to the job. I know most people would think this is impossible, or most people would think this is something that is kind of tough to do, and I agree. So let me tell you why. Say for instance, you want to apply for 10 jobs in a day. That is about 300 jobs, or let's say 200 jobs in a month if you want to apply Monday to Friday, correct? And you're doing 10 jobs a day. So that means that you're going to tailor your resume to 200 jobs. Guys, I know it is funny, I know it is tough, but that is what you have to do, okay? You know, I'm privileged to interview a lot of people. I'm privileged to be on some panel, and I've also been privileged to interview people from my personal businesses as well. A lot of guys that we interview, one of the reasons, right, is because their resume speaks directly to the job description that we posted. Others that also applied could also have that experience, but because they didn't tailor their resume to the job that we posted, we didn't call them for interview. A key characteristics of a high standard resume is its tailoring to specific job or industry that you are applying for. Tailor it to the specific job that you're applying for. For instance, your resume is done like for GRC, and then you're applying for IT audit role. Meanwhile, everything in your resume speaks to GRC, nothing like IT audits there. And because you believe, well, IT audit is part of GRC, and then you take your resume without tailoring it, you apply, you're missing it. You will never be called. Maybe this is one of the mistakes that you've also been making. Go back now and check all those jobs that you've applied to. Did you tailor your resume for each of those jobs? You have to do that. All right, it is very, very important. While John's resume is clearly targeted towards senior roles in cybersecurity compliance, ensuring that it aligns with the specific demands and keywords of the job he's applying for is very crucial. Those who know me, they know I don't joke with words. Listen to what I said very carefully. Ensuring that it aligns with what? Specific demands. That's number 1. And keywords of the job that she's applying for is very crucial. And this includes using languages that resonate with the industry and then match the resume skills and experience with the job descriptions. Okay, match your resume skills and experience with the job description. All right, so if you do these 5 things, trust me, you will be shocked at the responses you'll be getting from recruiters. And like I said, on the inverse, if you don't want to get interview, if you don't want them to call you, do not tailor your resume to match the job description. Just apply with what you have. Okay, but you need to know you're not the only one applying for the job. There are several people, and what I want for you is for you to be able to get the job. So that is why I've brought this 5 points that I saw on John's resume before I edited it and worked on it. And John, in 2 weeks, got 3 interviews. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful for you. If you have any question, you can put it in the comment section. And before you go, I like to encourage you to use the subscribe button and the like button as well. If this video has been helpful, you can subscribe, because I release more videos like this that will help you on your cybersecurity journey. And you can also like and also share with your friends and family, especially those who you know that wants to get into cybersecurity. I will see you again on the next one. Bye for now, guys.